What's up guys, it's CG. So this is going to be a thorough review of Nouveau Monde by the house of Louis Vuitton. First, I'm going to give you guys a rundown so you have a general idea what the fragrance is about. Then I'm going to share how users rated the scent profile and the performance. My wife and I are going to share our impressions of it. And finally, I'm going to share my overall opinion after wearing it. Without further ado, let's get this started. If I were to describe this fragrance, I'd say it's a very manly smell. If you think of things like royal oud or koyam or just manly masculine smells that don't really smell like colognes, just smell like the smell of being a man, that's what this is. With leather being the front and center component, it's actually pretty light and fresh, and it has animalic components to it, but all of it just emphasizes the leather. The leather is front and center. It's a very manly smell, and I absolutely love this one. The key notes listed are agarwood, cocoa, saffron, patchouli, incense, and blackcurrant note. As far as how much users like the scent, it got an average rating of an 8.1. About 70% of voters would give it an 8 or above, and only about 10% would give it a 6 or lower. Me personally, I would give it a 10. I absolutely love this fragrance. It's been on a lot of my list, but at the same time, I was expecting a lot more polarization in the ratings here. I was expecting to see more ones, more twos, more threes, because a lot of people online trash talk this fragrance, and I can see why it's polarizing. That animalic component is quite a bit, and that leather, like I've heard people say it smells like a Copenhagen can or like dip spit. It really is a manly smell, and I don't think it's for everyone, but at the same time, I just absolutely love this fragrance. For longevity, it got an average rating of an 8.7. 93% of voters gave it an 8 or above, so yeah, everybody's in agreement. This stuff lasts, and I agree with them. This lasts a full work day for sure. For sillage, it got an average rating of an 8.3. 3 out of 4 voters would give it an 8 or a 9, which is the most common rating, and I would agree. I would actually give it an 8. I think it produces a nice scent bubble, but it's definitely not like Ombre Nomade in the sense it's not crazy strong. It's not going to choke people out. It's not going to fill the room with a big leather bomb, but at the same time, it's going to produce just a nice bubble. I'm not the only one that thinks that way. Just looking on Parfumo, Ombre Nomade Sillage got an average rating of a 9.3, and for longevity, it got a 9.5. Ombre Nomade is not very wearable to me because you can't wash it off and it explodes. This one is just really nice, fresh, clean leather that has a really nice scent bubble to it. Okay, so this is what I would call a what the fuck fragrance. In other words, as a fragrance reviewer, I feel like I love this one. It's a 10. It's an all-time favorite. It's on like all my list basically. But at the same time, the reason I would say it's a what the fuck fragrance is a lot of you might try this based on my opinion and based on my subjectivity and my personal preferences and say, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, some of you guys are just not going to be able to stand this one. It's very polarizing, even in the community from what I've seen. It's one of those ones you either really love it or you just can't stand it. You don't even want to smell like it. Like, you don't even want to build a taste for it because you're just off put from the bat. For me, it's one of my favorites. If I were to describe the scent profile, this is my introduction to true animalic. A lot of people will say things are animalic that in my opinion aren't really animalic, or they'll say it's barnyardy, and to me, yeah, a little bit, but this one's really barnyardy, okay, like for real. And when you spray it, that's a lot of the opening and the first impression of it. This is why you'll see people online saying that it smells like shit, because when you put a bunch of animals in a confined space, they shit, and when they shit, it makes a smell. So when you go to the zoo and you're walking around and you're at a petting zoo and you smell that smell, or if you ever go to a rodeo and you get that smell of animal in the air, I always linked it to barnyard or animal smell, but a lot of people say that's like shit. So yeah, you're hit in the face with a big boatload of shit in the beginning, if that's what you want to call it. And you're also hit with leather and a bit of a freshness. Now the shit goes away. And when it dials back, then you're left with this leather that's being kind of almost emphasized by that animalic component underneath, but then you have this really odd freshness up top. It's like oddly fresh for what it is. In this stage, it's the ultimate leather smell. Like the animalic really just gives it this masculine, almost rodeo-like quality to what is like a luxury leather. In other words, it's not like a glossy magazine leather. It's not a vintage Boot Barn leather. It's like if you were to go to Louis Vuitton and smell inside of one of their bags and smell that luxurious, really well done leather smell, it's that. It's in this middle ground. It's not old man leather and it's not glossy new car leather. It's really just luxury leather that has this animalic component that's making it interesting and really masculine. That animalic, I can't emphasize this enough. That's a big part of the opening, but when it dials down, it blends so well with that leather. And then there's something that's making it really fresh up top. It's really hard to say what that is, almost like an aroma chemical. Like I can't say what it is. I know I find it also in Ombre Nomade and that's the only two fragrances. I find this interesting. Something's making it really fresh here, but I don't really know what it is. So it ends up being like the ultimate leather fragrance. There is cocoa in this, but it's a powder. It's not sweet. And honestly, it's more of an enhancer to the whole composition. I don't really feel like the cocoa is something that I really pull apart so much. It's more there just to blend everything together, and it's very light and subtle. So at the end of the day, it's a front and forward leather fragrance. You're gonna smell like leather, and some people just don't want to smell like leather. Some people might think that this smells like the leather department in a store, or like you're going somewhere and there's a bunch of leather shoes around you and that's what it smells like. Some people just think leather's just not their vibe. Me, leather is a hit or miss. Like I'm pretty picky about what kind of leathers I like, but with this one I absolutely love it. It's honestly just so addictive. It's so classy. It's so really fresh and nicely done, and that animalic component just makes it so interesting and deep that it's just one of those fragrances that is such a 10 in my opinion. People compare this to Ombre Nomade a lot, and I don't get it at all. Like Ombre Nomade to me is like a lot of rose, a lot of raspberry. Like there's literally no rose, no raspberry in this. And then the leather's front and center on this one, and this one actually has animalic components. A lot of people say Ombre Nomade does. I don't pick up on that. I don't get anything barnyard from Ombre Nomade. This is just a really nice leather with an animalic component. And what links it to Ombre Nomade is purely that freshness I talked about. It's weird. But I love this one, and I don't like Ombre Nomade. This one also has much more soft performance, and it just feels a lot more wearable. This feels more Western. Like Ombre Nomade feels way more Middle Eastern to me. And that's kind of just a weird vibe when I show up to work and I smell like I'm from the Middle East, where this smells more like a leather jacket. And I would say this is a great leather enhancer. I think it's clearly masculine, but what's interesting about it is I feel like a woman in a leather jacket can pull this off. Like I feel like somebody could get hit with this in the air and just think it's the best smell of leather they ever smelt in their life. And if you're wearing a leather jacket or leather clothes, man or woman, they would assume that it's really just coming from that. Like it's really interesting. This is like a perfect leather enhancer, very leather centric, but leather done in the best way possible. It's the only bottle from Louis Vuitton that I think is full bottle worthy. Now that's very subjective to me. Louis Vuitton is one of those brands that people tend to like 2 or 3 from them. They kind of have something for everybody, and everybody has a different opinion. Like for some people it's L'Immensité, some it's Pacific Chill, some it's Meteor. My 2 from them are Nouveau Monde and Imagination. I love them both. I know there's a lot of people that don't like Louis Vuitton fragrances. Fine, have at it, but I like them. Don't really care what you think. But those are the only 2 that I really like. But this one just blows Imagination out the water. Like I wouldn't buy a bottle of Imagination. I really like it, but at the end of the day, it just kind of smells like soap to me. Even though I really like it, I just feel like this one is more of a vibe, and that's why I like it so much. It's a very unique vibe. It's perfection. I think it's fantastic.
Nouveau Monde.
You've been exposed to this one.
I've been exposed a lot because somebody I know wears it to bed.
Often.
Okay? Often. So, this is a strong fragrance, very strong fragrance. It smells good, but it's very present and very strong. So again, a little of it will suffice unless you intend to bomb the room, which Wow, fruity leather. I think pretty much describes what I'm smelling. Fruity leather, like fruit punch leather. Very masculine. I don't think women can pull it off. It's better for cooler weathers, fall, winter. And I give it an 8.5.
So my overall opinion is Nouveau Monde is 100% for me. I will always have it. It's one of my favorites of all time, and it's definitely worth trying. It's a great introduction to animalic oud. Yeah, feel free to comment with y'all's opinions, subscribe for future content, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.